Hi folks, I don't think I'm going to do a full studio vlog this week, but what I am going to do is take you through my process of taking photos for Instagram, which I think will be quite useful to some people, especially if you're starting out with Bookstagram or Instagram in general. These are just some guiding principles for beginners. If you've been doing photography for a while, then you probably know these already, but a few tips and tricks that I use. And yeah, it's a little bit of behind the scenes. I don't think it's going to work to vlog all of this week, so this is a sort of a mini vlog with a specific purpose. So I hope you find this useful, and let's get on with the photography. So as you can see, I've got this set up here and camera is up here. This is what it looks like through the lens. I have arranged this looking at this screen rather than down here. I might even just zoom in a bit. And then I'll probably take a couple of these. One will be this portrait setup and one will be a landscape. And I might do a few different angles as well. It's always helpful. Oh, you know what I really like here is the fact that you can see the reflection of my books in the binoculars. That's pretty cool. This thing here is a reflector, and you'll see if I bring that over there, it brings that light up. So, oh, and I've just knocked this out of the way, so it's all skew-if, but it just takes away some of those shadows, and I could even bring in another one over this side to take out some shadows over here as well. But I've only got one of these, and I think that's all right. The shadows give it a little bit of depth, but you don't want too much of that going on. I normally shoot on manual, so just adjusting the settings, and I'm using a DSLR here obviously, but you can do very similar stuff with an iPhone. If you're just starting out with this kind of thing. Yeah, I'm just a very simple layout for this. You know, I could have added a lot more, but I thought for this book, actually, simple suits it best. This is an amazing book, actually, if you haven't read Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn books. They are fabulous. There we go. That is the landscape one, because I'll be using this on my website as well, and I like to have both variations, and then I'll take one from an angle as well. So with this angle, I'm just going to adjust the coins because I can see on here that they're cropped off a little bit. So if I bring them just around a bit further, that's looking more like it. And for any of you who are getting anxious by because of this battery button, I have got a second battery which hopefully is charged. Actually, it might not be charged. I probably should do that. But yes, I have noticed it. So let's take this picture and see. Okay, so that's quite underexposed. And I tend to go for something that is a little bit underexposed. I'd rather have it here on the exposure, just because my editing process, that makes it a little bit easier. If it's overexposed, I find it's more difficult to edit, or even if it's perfectly exposed. So let's go with that. Oh no, okay, battery has gone. Let's see if I've got another one. This one's also pretty low. Okay, so now I've got 3 different photos to work with. I can use those in my Instagram grid and on my website and anywhere else that I need to. Oh, hey, Lyra. Yeah, and I just repeat this process with the different pieces I've got. So here, this is a piece of lettering I did for a children's picture book, so I'll be photographing that. I want to have another shot at photographing the Raven Boys because it didn't come out very well last time. This blue colour, I was having issues with the colour balance, but I think that's because I had some different colours in the photographs. I'm going to see if I can sort that one out. And I love the contrast in this piece, so I might take another picture of that one as well. For this next one, I'm going to photograph an old piece, which I'm actually going to be selling the original of. So I have I've actually left it in the plastic sleeve. We'll see if there's any glare on it, because if there is, I might have to take it out. But for this one, I've just surrounded it by some things that I imagine that the Little Mermaid would be fascinated by in the human world. And the sorts of things that people might accidentally drop into the sea. So I'm not sure about opera glasses, but, you know, binoculars might end up in the sea by some clumsy sailor. A pair of glasses, some coins again, and this locket. Very similar to the previous setup. I tend to do that, take a set of photos that all look quite similar in some ways, but that helps the grid to stay quite consistent. I think it becomes quite a different piece because obviously the central focus is on this artwork, which is very different from the previous one. While I wait for the camera battery to charge, I have a few tips for Instagram photography. And the main thing is that lighting is your best friend. So, I mean, you can see that just by, this is where I'm filming now because the window is behind you. If I go here, obviously the lighting is not so great, but you might want to use that effect here at some point. Nice silhouetting, I suppose. But yeah, see here or here, it's not so good. But if I come around here, suddenly a lot better. And the same goes for this photography setup. So obviously I've got the light coming in from behind. I have in the past filmed from the other side, or taken photos from the other side, but that doesn't, there's a bit too much back glare from the window. So I find that doing it this way with the camera here works best with a reflector over that side to just balance out any harsher shadows. You'll notice this isn't direct sunlight, even though it is a sunny day. So I find that natural light is 100% the best light, and you know, being close to a window is definitely preferable to using overhead lights like these, even though these are quite good colours. They're a little bit too harsh. I also find that doing the photography in the same place every time makes a massive difference. So, you know, I've taken photos in other places before. I've taken them up on here, which just doesn't have the same results because the walls in here are quite warm looking. It casts this orangey hue over everything, which is quite hard to edit out. So here you've got the perfect balance of the sort of natural warm light that's bouncing off of the walls, but not so much that you can't get rid of it without draining all the colour from your photo. So yeah, this is a great setup. I like the texture of this sort of faux wooden desk as a background. That works really well. And then to bring a bit of that warmth into it, I use this this chopping board, which you'll see in most of my Instagram photos, along with those little opera glasses. That brings a nice unity to it as well, and just makes it look better in the grid, basically. And yes, I have got a jumper hanging up over that window. That's just to block out a little bit of that directional light that you don't want on your photos. Yeah, definitely improvised there. So there we go. That is how I set up and take my photos. This process is pretty much the same whatever I'm photographing, whether it's notebooks or originals or whatever, but I will change up the setup, use different props and things, but it's more or less the same, and just that consistent lighting is the main thing that I think should be the main takeaway from this. If you are a Bookstagrammer, let me know your Bookstagram handle down below so I can go and see what you do. I would love that. If you are not a Bookstagrammer and would like to do that, I'd highly recommend it, because I find Bookstagram to be quite similar to BookTube in terms of the kinds of people who are there, and it's a very supportive community. I just feel a lot of love towards the Bookstagram community, and I've met a lot of incredible people over there. It's also awesome if you are an author and want to share your work. You know, you can write short stories in the captions or poetry, you know, share snippets of what you're doing. And if you have great photos as well, that's what really draws people in.
So I think that there is definitely a way to use it as an author or a reader or an artist if you're doing things to do with books. I'll give you a quick update on my hands and neck issue, because last week I mentioned that I'd had this treatment which was a bit like acupuncture, which unfortunately doesn't seem to have done anything. I was just sore in my shoulder for a couple of days, and then my hands have been just as bad, unfortunately, maybe even a little bit worse. So that's disappointing. I had hoped that it would have some effect, but yeah, we're trucking along, seeing how things go. But I wouldn't recommend that as a treatment. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I'm sorry this isn't a full vlog, but I thought doing a sort of more specific one, which is going to be actually useful to a specific group of people, would be worth doing. So let me know down in the comments if you like this. Link your Instagram account down below. Tell me your handle and I will go and check it out. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you.